Tyler Reddick spent 18 straight weeks running this championship. Then, in one afternoon at Sonoma, it all came apart not because his boss beat him on the track, but because his own car betrayed him. A power steering failure buried him in last place. And the man who capitalized wasn't just a rival. It was Denny Hamlin, his own team owner. Now Reddick isn't chasing a title, he's chasing his own boss. Back in May, this wasn't even a conversation. Reddick opened the 2026 season by winning 3 of the first 3 races, a run nobody in the Cup Series had ever pulled off before. By the time the series hit Watkins Glen, his lead over the field had ballooned to 129 points. It wasn't a championship battle, it was a runaway. And the man who was supposed to be his toughest competition wasn't even on the radar. Denny Hamlin, 45 years old, the oldest full-time driver in the Cup Series, was grinding through a quiet start to his year. Nobody was talking about Hamlin catching Reddick. They were talking about how far ahead Reddick already was. For a stretch there, Reddick looked like he was driving a different season than everyone else on the grid. 5 wins on the year, all inside the first 9 races. Top 15 finishes in each of his first 14 starts. A 129-point cushion is the kind of number that usually settles a points battle by August, not one that gets erased in a month. If you'd told anyone at Watkins Glen that Reddick would lose the lead before the summer was out, they would have laughed you out of the media center. Then June happened. It started at Michigan, where Hamlin fought back from the rear of the field after a practice incident, drove through 37 cars, and won his 63rd career race, tying him with the late Kyle Busch on NASCAR's all-time wins list. It was an emotional moment. Hamlin carried a tribute flag on his victory lap for his former teammate, but it was also the first crack in Reddick's armor. That same weekend, Reddick suffered his first DNF of the season, caught up in a Stage 2 crash and finishing 35th. 1 week later, Hamlin won again at Nashville. Then he did something no driver had done in NASCAR's Cup Series since 1981. He won a 3rd straight race at Pocono, passing Kyle Busch for sole possession of 9th on the all-time wins list. Reddick finished 2nd that day, and he knew exactly what it meant. "It's a bummer," he admitted afterward. "If the 11 wasn't the winner, you could consider this a good day." 3 wins in 3 weeks. The margin that had once sat at 129 points was suddenly down to 19. And here's the part that made it uncomfortable. The driver clawing his way back into contention wasn't just some rival on a different team with a grudge. It was Denny Hamlin, co-owner of 23XI Racing, the very team Reddick drives for, the same man who signs off on Reddick's equipment, his contracts, his future. For the first time all year, Reddick wasn't just racing for a championship. He was racing his own boss for it. 23XI Racing is a Toyota operation co-founded by Hamlin and NBA legend Michael Jordan. That ownership group has spent the last few years building the team into a legitimate championship contender, with Reddick as the face of that rise. But Hamlin driving for a rival organization, Joe Gibbs Racing, means the man cutting into Reddick's points lead technically has no financial stake in Reddick winning at all. If anything, every position Hamlin gains helps Joe Gibbs Racing's championship push, not 23SI's. It's a strange, almost contradictory position for an owner to be in, rooting for his own driver's success on paper, while doing everything he can behind the wheel to take the points lead away from him. Most people figured the pressure would ease up once NASCAR left the ovals behind. Reddick has always been one of the strongest road course drivers in the series. The next stop, the San Diego street course, was supposed to be his chance to push the lead back out. It didn't go that way. While battling for the win, Reddick made contact with his own teammate, Corey Heim, and cut down a left front tire. That mistake cost him more than 20 points and dropped him to 25th. Hamlin, meanwhile, quietly finished 14th. The gap that had been 19 points fell to just 8. 2 straight races, 2 straight collapses, and the man gaining on him every single week was the one whose name is on the ownership papers. That set up Sonoma, the final road course of the 2026 season, and by far the biggest swing of the year. If there was one place Reddick needed to hold the line, this was it. Road courses are supposed to be his strength. Instead, his 45 car developed a power steering issue that his own team couldn't diagnose in real time. "It was just a very odd issue," Reddick said afterward. "Everything seemed fine when we left the pit stall. Then it started binding up. 6 laps down, stuck in traffic for most of the afternoon, Reddick crossed the line in 36th place, dead last. 2 points for the entire day. Here's the twist nobody expected. Hamlin didn't even have a good day either. He gave up stage points chasing a shot at the win, then got spun out late in the race, damaging his splitter and losing a chunk of downforce. He limped home 26th, and he wasn't smiling about it afterward. Didn't really have great restarts, Hamlin said, visibly frustrated in his post-race interview. Got spun there, hit the nose, knocked the splitter off, lost a lot of downforce. But it didn't matter. 26 points beat 2 points. And for the first time in 18 consecutive weeks, Tyler Reddick was no longer the championship leader. There's another layer to why this stretch matters so much to Hamlin specifically. He's already said he plans to retire at the end of the 2027 season. This late career surge, the 3-race win streak, passing Kyle Busch on the all-time wins list, and now a shot at his first regular season points lead in years, is happening on a clock that's running out. It's like wins, Hamlin said during his June streak, describing exactly what he's chasing in the time he has left. A points lead over his own driver with 2 seasons left in his career isn't just a stat. For Hamlin, it might be the last real championship window he gets. Denny Hamlin now sits atop the NASCAR Cup Series standings with 719 points. Reddick trails by a single point. 1 point after a season that once saw him lead by 129. 1 point separating a driver from the very man who co-owns his race team alongside Michael Jordan. Reddick tried to stay composed when reporters asked him about it. "I'd say we got pretty fortunate today," he said, almost laughing at how strange the math worked out. "All things considered, for the issues we had, we were really fortunate to only lose 9 points to Denny finishing dead last. It is what it is. We'll take it and move on, and we'll do everything we can at Chicagoland to get back the lead." It's the kind of quote that sounds calm on the surface, but look at the pattern underneath it. Reddick finished inside the top 15 in each of his first 14 races this season. Since then, he's finished 25th or worse in 3 of his last 4. That's not one bad afternoon. That's a driver who has gone from cruising to somehow finding new ways to lose ground week after week, to the one man in the garage he can't afford to let get inside his head. And that's really what makes this storyline different from a normal points battle. If this were any other rival closing the gap, it would just be a championship fight. But Hamlin isn't just any other rival. He's the man Reddick answers to, the driver whose success at 23XI Racing directly affects the resources, the strategy calls, and the direction of Reddick's own team. Every point Hamlin takes doesn't just cost Reddick the lead. It puts him in the position of chasing down the guy who signs off on his future.